You think you understand what women want? You think it's flowers, attention, or a man who listens? Maybe, sometimes. But beneath the surface lies a world of instincts, fears, desires, and rules that they will never admit out loud, not even to themselves. The truth is, women don't always say what they want, not because they're playing games, but because society has trained them to hide it, to be quiet, to be subtle. And while men are often told to chase, to express, to conquer, women are taught to wait, to hint, to hope someone reads between the lines. But in the age of social media, dating apps, and endless attention, this silent language has evolved into something darker, something more complex. Welcome to the unspoken psychology of female attraction. Attraction, for women, is not just physical. It's power. It's confidence. It's the ability to lead without forcing, to protect without controlling, to excite without begging. Women are biologically wired to seek strength, but not the kind that screams for attention. The kind that walks into a room and doesn't need to say a word. The dark truth? Nice guys finish last because they follow the surface rules. Be polite, be gentle, ask nicely. But deep down, many women are drawn to unpredictability, to mystery, to the edge of danger, not because they want chaos, but because they want someone who stands out in a world of copy-paste compliments and dry conversations. This isn't about toxic masculinity or playing a character. It's about polarity, energy, the dance of masculine and feminine, dominance and surrender, logic and emotion. In conversations, women may test you without realizing it, a sarcastic comment, a late reply, a sudden shift in tone. These are not always signs of disinterest, but subconscious ways of asking, can you hold your ground? Do you know who you are? If you get needy, if you chase, if you fold, she loses interest. Not because she's cruel, but because women are instinctively drawn to men who remain centered under pressure. The ones who don't seek validation, because they already validate themselves. The dark secret? Emotional control is attractive, not coldness, not detachment, but the ability to stay calm when others lose their balance. That's the real alpha trait, not muscles or money, but internal certainty. Then there's the game nobody talks about, female competition. In groups, women often measure a man's value based on how other women respond to him. A man who is desired by others suddenly becomes more desirable. It's called preselection. If a woman sees you being ignored, she's less likely to notice you. But if she sees other women smiling at you, laughing with you, being pulled toward you, something shifts. She pays attention, not because she's shallow, but because her instincts say, if others want him, there must be a reason. That's why some of the most attractive men are never the loudest in the room. They're just the ones women watch when they think no one's looking. Another truth? Women crave emotional depth, but only from men who've earned the right to share it. Oversharing too early feels weak. Love bombing feels desperate. What she wants is someone who's layered, mysterious, who opens up piece by piece, like a novel you can't stop reading. The mistake most men make? They reveal everything too soon. They pour their heart out without ever building trust. And trust is built through consistency, boundaries, and respect, not through sob stories or sweet words. The men who truly capture attention are the ones who balance intensity with patience, who flirt with danger, but never lose control. Let's talk about dominance. The word scares people, but it's misunderstood. Dominance doesn't mean control. It means leadership, direction, the ability to guide, decide, Move forward without second-guessing every step. In dating, this translates into being decisive. Let's go here. Meet me at 8. Wear that dress you looked amazing in. It's subtle, but powerful. Women don't want to be controlled. They want to feel like they can relax into someone else's certainty. The modern woman handles work, pressure, decisions all day. At night, in romance, she often craves the opposite. A space where she doesn't have to lead, where she can simply feel. But she'll never ask for that out loud. You're just supposed to know. Then there's the unspoken power of contrast. The men who leave the deepest impact are rarely one-dimensional. They can be gentle but firm, playful but serious, respectful but intense. This polarity is intoxicating because it mirrors real life, chaotic, unpredictable, full of emotion. A man who can show both softness and strength becomes unforgettable because he awakens different parts of a woman's mind. He becomes a challenge, not in a toxic way, but in a way that makes her want to understand him more. She can't put him in a box, and that keeps her curious, engaged, invested. And let's be brutally honest, women fantasize just as much as men. But their fantasies are not always visual. They're psychological, situational, emotional. They fantasize about being understood without speaking, desired without asking, led without feeling controlled. These fantasies are not just sexual, they're deeply emotional. And only a man who pays attention, who listens between the lines, who responds to energy instead of just words, can ever reach that level. You can't fake it. You either feel her rhythm or you don't. But here's the final twist. None of this works without respect. Women are not puzzles to be solved or codes to crack. They're humans with layers, emotions, traumas, and dreams. The men who succeed long-term aren't the ones who learn the tricks. They're the ones who develop themselves, who become so grounded, so full, so present that they naturally draw connection, not by chasing it, but by becoming the kind of man who attracts it effortlessly. And when that happens, she doesn't just want to be with you, she chooses to be with you. But if there's one truth most men ignore, one that separates surface attraction from deep emotional obsession, it's presence. Real, grounded presence. When you're with her, are you actually with her? Or is your mind scattered? Thinking about impressing her? Planning your next move? She can feel that. And the moment she senses you're not fully grounded, fully in the moment, she disconnects. Because presence is rare. Presence makes her feel safe, seen, desired. And when a woman feels seen, not just for her looks, but for her energy, her thoughts, her raw self, she lets down walls she didn't even know she had. This is why emotional intelligence matters. It's not about being overly sensitive. It's about knowing how to read the room, how to sense shifts in mood, how to respond not just to words, but to energy. The most powerful men are not those who dominate every conversation. They're the ones who can create a space where a woman can let her guard down, where she doesn't feel judged, where she can go from playful to deep, wild to vulnerable, and never feel unsafe doing so. Now let's get even more real. Women often live with contradictions they'll never speak about. They want freedom, but also commitment, adventure, but also security, strength, but also softness. And no, it's not because they're confused. It's because women are multidimensional, just like men. The mistake? Trying to put them in a box. The key? Embracing the dance. Knowing when to lead and when to lean back. When to challenge and when to comfort. It's a rhythm, not a rule book. And don't underestimate the silent checklist running in her mind. She may smile at your jokes, laugh at your stories, but she's also asking herself questions you'll never hear. Can I trust him? Would he protect me? Does he get me without me explaining everything? And if you can speak to those unspoken questions, not with words, but through action, body language, and energy, you unlock something far more powerful than lust. You unlock emotional loyalty, and that's rare. Here's the final truth. Attraction isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. The man who's done the inner work, the man who's faced rejection, built discipline, found purpose. He doesn't chase women. He attracts them, not because he's trying, but because he's already full, already whole. And when a woman meets a man like that, it changes her. Because in a world full of masks, he shows up raw, confident, unshakable. That's what she wants. That's what she'll never say. And that's why most men never see it coming.